Stopwatch. All right. Well, happy Friday. Happy day after Groundhog Day, everybody. Welcome to MVP Office Hours. I am Dale Ziegler, and with me, as always, the lovely and talented Squire Kirshner, and the even more lovely and even more talented Joy Shutters-Helbing. Say hello, friends.
Hi, friends.
Hello, friends.
You can follow us on our respective handles on the social medias, mine on LinkedIn, Joy and Squire on Twitter, as well as the MVP Office Hours Twitter handle. You can catch any updated information about upcoming meetings, whatever, at our site there. You can also email us, but you're going to get an out-of-office reply that says, hey, go here to the success community, because then if you have any actual issues that you're trying to work through, the community is going to get to them a lot more quickly than we will on email. And it includes everybody in the conversation. It's not just the three of us. So that's how you can reach us. What are we doing here in case you've never been here before? So we typically, and typically should just be flashing in big, bold, shiny letters because we didn't have our second call of the month last month. We typically meet on the first and third Friday. So our next call will be in 2 weeks on February 17th. This is meant to be an open Q&A. Any Salesforce issues you may be having or questions about release notes, we're in that release window, whatever you may have. If there's dead air and you want to start a philosophical conversation about the platform, go for it. But it's meant to be an open Q&A. You can register anytime at this bit.ly. You can catch past recordings at any of these links. They're all on YouTube. And if you're talking about us out in the greater social media or community stratosphere, use these hashtags, please. Welcome to everyone, current and future MVPs, because y'all are MVPs. We ask that everyone participates. There's nothing that says only MVPs can answer the questions. Sometimes we have MVPs ask the questions because we're all working in Salesforce just the same as you are, and we run into walls and get stumped on things. So this is meant for everyone to share and collaborate. We do have the chat for you to post any links or other resources, as well as use the chat to raise your hand if you want to get in line. We already have 2 questions, it looks like, in line on chat, so awesome, as well as some that came in through the success community. If you have a question, go ahead and either put it in the chat or raise your hand using reactions from Zoom. You can definitely share your screen, but please do not show us production data, whether it's your company's or if it's a client's or whatever. We are recording this. This is going on YouTube. So the last thing we want to do is show real living production data. Show us a dev org, show us a scratch org, share links to blogs or whatever. But if at all possible, let's avoid production data. And also with us recording, if you're not comfortable or you're not permitted to be recorded, please jump off. We will post this to YouTube sometime this weekend. My goal is Friday afternoon, but by end of weekend, most definitely. We'll also share this deck with any links that get shared and discussed and all of that. So you will have missed the live version, but you'll still get all the content. And we love having fun. We love just coming as ourselves, making this conversational, but please keep it professional. With this being recorded, the last thing we want is you to badmouth your company or a client inadvertently, and then that gets discovered, and then you have a whole other mess of problems that maybe we can't necessarily help you with. So let's just get in front of that. Let's be professional, but let's have some fun. We're all here to help each other. Upcoming events in the community, Snowforce, I've heard, is absolutely amazing. Utah is a beautiful part of the world. And then Kiwi Dreamin', and of course, sending thoughts to New Zealand with all the flooding that they're dealing with right now. But hopefully everything's good to go in about a month and a half. Spain, Albania, Central California Dreamin', and Texas Dreamin'. And then wedged in the middle of all of that from the Salesforce sponsored side of things is TDX, March 7th, and then Dreamforce. I mean, there's never a moment when we're not thinking about Dreamforce. So that is coming in mid-September. And then from a local perspective, Squire and Joy lead their respective local user groups. I used to lead the one here in Kansas City. They're a great way to connect with people in your area, and actually get, like, face to face, shake hands or fist bump, whatever, idea sharing, and all the good things that comes with the pre-pandemic user groups. Now we're getting back to safer places to do that. So go ahead and check out the links in the lower right there. So now the fun stuff. So we did have a handful of, not so much questions, but things, I guess, get posted in the success community. Joy, you got something?
Yeah. So I was just looking at this, but Diane and Scott look to be on the call.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So tell you what, let's run through the ones who aren't on the call yet, and then we'll jump into those. Cool.
Absolutely.
All right, Lizelle posted a question about validation rule feedback, trying to figure out formatting when it comes to adding multiple profiles so they don't receive an error message. And I don't know the question specifically, but I'm going to guess this is exactly why I personally hate validation rules, because they're in negative tone and ands and ors and nots and.
Ooh, it looks like there's an answer though.
Well, and we are the man, the myth, the legend, Steve jumped on and I think helped her solve. I know she sometimes joins, and if she had, I was hoping she could like give us a rundown. It looked like she just needed to understand better how to refer to the names, because her and statement was making sure that it was never all of the things.
Steve's answer.
Sorry?
We just, oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah. If I remember right, she had written that the way she had written it, it was never going to pass because it was all ands. And I was hoping that she could speak to it. So.
And that's where the negative tone and ands and ors, like, they don't behave the same as you would expect. And I mean, yeah, as usual, Steve knocks it out of the park. One of the things that I've also implemented in the past, and I've recommended numerous times, is and this is for anybody, as you get more and more intricate on your ands, your ors, and your nots, you can also, if it's easier to work in positive connotation, which it is for me, create a formula checkbox field where you put in all your rules that if it's this, if it's this, if it's not this, if it's whatever, blah, 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 great, true, else false. You can then make a validation rule against that field. And if it's true, then we got to execute the validation rule. If it's false, move on with your happy life. So
I don't recommend it, but I've also seen people write an entirely positive validation rule and then bracket it around not.
Yeah.
So that just reverses at the end. I think that's not the right way to do that, but that's if you've got something so complex that you can't reverse the logic, then write it thoughtfully and then just say not this.
Right. And I think what also gets underappreciated, though, from a best practices standpoint, is the more squirrely your logic gets, the more you maybe need to back away from the validation rule altogether and actually ask the question of, what are we trying to accomplish in this process? And should we be flipping switches somewhere else potentially to either require or prevent something from happening based on certain things? But conversation for a whole other day. But anyway, Steve Moe to the rescue for the 87 billionth time.
Can I just say I really, really appreciate the Schrodinger's cat poison image in the bottom of that.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I also wanted to quickly call it again, because Lizelle does join us on occasion. She was very appreciative of some help that we gave her a couple calls ago, as far as the conversation we had about going to DLRS. She posted there, and I just wanted to pass along, if you didn't see that we helped her, and she was very appreciative.
Awesome.
And I know Anil has joined in the past. I haven't seen him in quite a while. He had a really long post about an Apex class. I don't think we have to go into detail unless he joins, but there was, again, everyone swarmed to help resolve the code, and so I just a call out. So
Yeah, I'm as a non-programmatic resource, I am getting a little itchy going through this, but definitely appreciate everybody swarming it. This is making me nervous.
Dale.
But no, very cool. Okay. So then we do have Diane and Scott on the call. So Diane, do you want to go off mute and tell us a little bit more about what you're trying to solve here?
Yep.
For some reason,
So
it sounds familiar.
I actually solved it. So,
Oh,
well,
okay.
I didn't, but
Yeah.
developer did. So we needed a secondary case owner, if you will. What happens is if you put a case into a queue, the person who, at our company, the person who puts the case into the queue is still ultimately responsible for that case, but loses sight of it because they're not the owner anymore. So we just needed a way for them to still get updates. And I forgot, because I'm a solo admin and I've just been spending a year now trying to fix the wonderful org that I'm part of. And I forgot that we actually created this special case collaborator object, a custom object for a community user, so they could add additional people to their cases and get updates. And so all we did was we just made that available for our internal users. So problem solved.
Cool. Can I ask why a custom object versus case teams? Was there a limitation on case teams?
I
Can
don't.
you, sorry, maybe I answered the question. Can you add community members to a case team?
Yep.
You can, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did not go down that path when we did the initial sharing in the community. So if they get added as a community team member, they automatically get updates? I didn't know that.
Not automatically, but the enabling that configuration becomes significantly easier. Just
Okay.
because they're part of the case team doesn't mean you have to notify them, but Salesforce kind of gives you most of the work already to make it happen.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But I mean, again, the reason I asked were there any limitations is because like account teams, case teams, opportunity, contact roles, all that kind of stuff. A lot of those second class objects are really phenomenal at doing very specific things very well, and then have zero capability at anything else that you might want them to do. So I'm always interested and curious to hear those where it would have worked most of the way, but it was a showstopper because it didn't work for this. So that was all.
Gotcha. No, I'll keep it in mind for future if we ever. I didn't even think of case teams. They do not even have case teams. I should say we do not have case teams enabled on our cases.
Gotcha. Okie dokie. Oh, Zoom, stop. Don't be dumb. There we go. Very good. All right, moving on to Scott. Enhanced domains. If we already have my domain, go for it.
Hey there, long time lurker, first time speaker. Like literally for years. Love you guys and the rotating cast of characters.
And it's not creepy. It's not creepy.
No, I mean the creepy voice without a face. No, I'm kidding. No,
Yeah, I don't do video if I don't
no,
have
it's
to.
okay. It's okay. Talk to us.
Yeah. So basically just what I'm asking, the documentation for these enhanced domains it's like stepping into Doctor Strange's multiverse and crashing into Spider-Man's multiverse at the same time. There's so many pages.
Yeah.
And and there's no temporary testing for this one that you can roll back if things go astray. Testing it in a test environment doesn't really feel viable or helpful because our sandbox environments can't be connected to all of our external things. So I'm just hoping somebody out there can just tell me, oh, if you already have a my domain, you don't have to worry about it. Just turn it on and you're good to go. I'm looking for a magic bullet that can just put me at peace.
Where's Jeannie when you need it?
Oh, sorry. No magic bullet here.
You'll know
dear.
before you go live, you'll know if it's changing the URL. And if it doesn't change the URL, I don't think it'll cause any problems. I've done it in like 3 orgs so far and it hasn't had any impact. But I don't know what all you have connected to it.
Yeah. So are you saying that when you start to go live, it shows you a preview of how the URLs are going to change or not?
Yeah, there's like
Before you
2
commit?
steps. You click like enable, and then it will send you a message that tells you like we're doing something in the background, and then you come back to the My Domains page, and it'll say this is your URL before, and this will be your URL after. So you'll get to see like a comparison of the 2 URLs, and if they're
Okay.
the same, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, if they're the same, I don't think it'll cause any issue, because anything that's pointing at that URL, it'll be the same. So it would only be concerning is if you do the first step, which doesn't actually make it go live, and then you come back to do the second step. If they're different and you have that connected to other stuff, like if there's other applications or something like a SSO that's pointing at it, that would be concerning. But if they're the same, I think there won't cause any issues.
Okay. So that helps a lot. Thank you. So that I can look at in a sandbox and feel better about. And as for the SSO angle, I can work with our IT guys to see what URLs they're using and see if that'll be affected. So okay.
I'm hoping it's as easy as Matt described. There's a doc in the enhanced domain, like full documentation that actually describes the change to every URL based on where it originated and where it goes to. The org itself URL, like the My Domain URL, is one, but you'll have to check anything that's referring to Visual Force.
Right.
So your communities could have changes. Like there's a laundry list, and it'll show you what it could be, what it was, and what it will be with conversion. Go check them all off. Do online and like we don't have those. That's something I need to look at, because there's hidden ones. Even things like some API connections or name credentials could have legacy stuff. So I'm going to see if I can find that link. We talked about this, I think maybe 2 or 3 sessions ago. So we had a really good conversation about it, and that list is probably the best source for
January 6th.
perfect. Thank you. For like kind of dotting your I's and crossing your T's. But I think Matt's summary is pretty close.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. And thank you for the folks, if they're online, who in the forum suggested the option for deferring until the next seasonal release. And because we got caught up in the layoffs, and so I'm back to being a solo admin, and just bad time to deal with something this massive.
Right.
So having the extra time is helpful too.
Trying to vary above the line, so I apologize if it comes across wrong, but this has been a known issue we've seen this coming for well over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And deferring, if you don't plan for it, you could still be left holding a big steaming pile when the next release hits. Be real careful with that. So like, I guess my call to action for everyone on this call and anyone that we've talked to in the past is the release updates section is your best friend. Work ahead on it. Don't wait for like real release dates for that. And if you do click the defer, please put the top of your action item list. We got to fix this because the world's going to come to an end at the next release.
Oh, Squire. You just took us from Spider-Man and Doctor Strange multiverses to the land of unicorn and rainbows, which I have never seen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
going to forward this recording to my manager.
If you want me to have a conversation with him, I will.
Okay, cool.
Or her. I don't know. I shouldn't assume.
One thing I'll say is that we did extensive testing in our sandbox, and we still had an issue only with our community users being able to log in. Some could and some could not. And we got Salesforce on the phone and we tried to work through it, and they couldn't reproduce the problem and just kind of left it at that. So if you have a community, just be aware that you may run into, I think if we would have just reset passwords for all those people that were having trouble, it would have fixed it for some reason. I don't get it. I really, sometimes some of the stuff that Salesforce has an admin do, it's over my head, to be honest with you. It's more technical than I am. I try to read through all the documentation, and I did all the testing in Sandbox. I got a number of different people from different departments testing because we use knowledge articles. And it just, I'm scared to death. I defer too, because I'm going live with a major upgrade for our internal support group this weekend. And I just can't deal with enhanced domains right now. So yeah. I deferred, but it is March 1st, gonna get looked at again, Squire. Don't put me on the naughty list.
No, no.
But I'm scared because it affects our community, and those are our users, you know.
Yeah.
It just makes me worried. Like, how can I not go live and not understand how it's going to affect our community users?
Because it's one of those that I think sounded great on paper, but I mean, you give any organization a Salesforce org and it's immediately customized in some way, shape, or form that they can't begin to account for, and they don't realize the magnitude of this great idea on paper does have significant impact, and they just assume that everything is 100% out of the box, and that's impossible. So
yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we recently migrated our community elsewhere recently. I mean, by we, I mean somebody else. It's a different team that handles that, but don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
So here's a question related to this. Because, I mean, we have this, but in one of our orgs, the people above my pay grade don't like the new URLs for the community. And therefore have decided we need to go to a custom domain. So we have a live community, we're going to switch it to a custom domain. Anyone go through that? Because I want to know what gotchas I need to know before they start doing that.
So I don't think there's too many, actually, because you can configure the custom domain in Experience Cloud Administrator, right? And then it from there should be able to handle, if I know I'm going to ABC fill-in-the-blank.com, I'm going to automatically, you have to do a little bit of work on your client side, but it's going to then redirect to, here's the community I need to be in, right?
I hope so.
And I
Honestly,
believe
I've
that's how
never
it's
done a
supposed to
custom domain, so this is all new territory.
Right.
And for me, and I don't know how it's going to go. It'll be interesting to see when it happens.
Right.
Canned response. Sorry you experienced this problem. Please, please use this website.
And one last thought, and then we can move on. The one that I think catches more people than anything, because they'll never be able to test it, is if people have a bookmark in their Google Doc or in their Google browser that goes to the wrong community URL, you can't fix that. That's all communication and hand slapping. So don't forget about that one, because they'll think it's broken and it's actually their problem.
Right.
Okay. Excuse me. I think we're on to Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, good call, Joy. We should make sure we've finished with that one too.
Get it out there early before people hang up on us. Matt, what do you
Hey,
got?
good afternoon. I have two questions. I'll ask them quickly, and one of them's weird. So if it's not a good topic, just tell me to shut up and we can move on. First one is DKIM, which is a key Just like Dale said, he's allergic to the code questions. I'm allergic to email deliverability stuff. So for some reason, emails coming from Salesforce on behalf of the org, it's a law firm and it's a org, are coming back as undeliverable, not from the recipient, but from like their own email server, email domain. So they're getting these rejection emails saying everything's undeliverable to themselves when they try and send anything from Salesforce. So I came across instructions for DKIM and followed it, and it was painful, but eventually got it in there. And the emails are going out, like we confirm people are receiving them, but they're also still getting the message that all these emails are undeliverable. And since it's like dozens of emails a day, they're basically getting dozens of emails a day that say all of your automated emails are undeliverable. I don't know if anyone's experienced this before.
Well, probably a question specifically, is it an Office, Exchange? Is it Google? What's the platform?
It is Outlook, yeah.
Outlook, okay.
Yep.
365 or Exchange?
365, yep.
Okay.
I feel like I've run into this a number of times, but I don't remember what I did. But this article from Salesforce Ben has got a lot of like tips. If you scroll down, there it is. Yeah. We found the same thing at the same time. Yay. Or you clicked on my link. What is it?
What?
What? All right.
I'm feverishly circling email ISO 2005.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
my cross to bear.
Yeah, that's fine. But I think you'll work through this with some of this. I just don't remember what I did, but that might have been like 3 orgs ago.
Thank you. I'll take a look at that. I don't want to bore everyone else with DKIM.
But it's one of those things, once you fix it, it's like, it's done.
Yep.
Yeah. And it does look like the steps, the top part looks like the steps we followed. So hopefully the troubleshooting part at the bottom will help figure out what the issue is. But,
All right. See how far you get with that and then let us know.
awesome.
Really quick, Matt, the Salesforce Ben stuff was perfect for our configuration. We just did it. The one thing that we had to resolve is if you use a relay, sometimes the relay continues to try to resend, but the headers hasn't been approved with the DKIM and the SPF like flag. So like it's sitting in the relay trying to send again because it's a smart email relay and it's trying to make sure the recipient gets it, but it doesn't know how to clear it if they're bad. So we had to do a wipe of stuff that was in the queue while we were configuring.
That's great. I feel like I'm not going to be the one to fix it, but that sounds like something I can tell the email server guy and that he'll understand probably better than I will.
There's a little bit on your side you have to do, like you have to take a key back from them after they set up the Exchange side. You have to put that back into Salesforce. I think it's for the SPF, maybe.
It's
the
all
DMARC, I
coming
don't
back
remember.
to you. This sounds very familiar.
Yeah, but so like you'll have to do something, but they have to do the lion's share of the work.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. The other one I have is real quick. So same people I set up with the Einstein Activity Capture, and I've done this numerous times, never had really any weird issues come up, but for some reason there is an email address that is logging Einstein activity emails. So the activities are logging for an email that is not associated with anybody. So it's literally like, instead of saying Matt Gressley had an email with Squire, it's saying info@whatever.com had an email with Squire. And I can't find anything anywhere that is connecting this email to this org, let alone Einstein Activity Capture. It's not any of the users that are set up. It's a shared inbox and it's logging them. And to make things even weirder, and this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So 3 years ago or something, they imported some leads that didn't have an email address. And so they put their own company email address associated with their leads. So they have like 20 leads that all had the info@company email address on there. And Einstein Activity Capture was literally logging the call or logging emails from one lead to another lead. So it was like your one lead emailed your other lead, because the only place that this email address existed in the org was on a lead. It was like tracking email between two different leads, there was no user involved in any of the communication.
I
So
think that
weird.
logically makes sense if they have the same, if they're in, maybe not, I don't know. Keep going, sorry.
Well, because like at some point when you set up Einstein Activity Capture on the Outlook side or Gmail side, you have to like say, I allow Salesforce into my email domain. I allow you to, log my emails and store them in AWS and all that. And that was never done with this email address. So even though it's associated with the lead or 21 leads, I don't know why those emails would be logged at all. It's very bizarre.
Mhm.
If anyone's seen anything like that.
Hmm.
Einstein Activity Capture was very squirrely when I was using it, and I don't use it currently. I would log a case. They may or may not be able to help you, but they might be able to point you in the direction of some information that can help clear that up.
You said the info is it's
Your
a routing
domain?
address, right?
I'm sorry.
You said the info is it's a routing address. It's routing, or is it distributing the emails to any of your other users in Salesforce?
I don't know. It's a good question. I
Because
think it's just a shared inbox.
Yeah, that shared inbox, they may be getting that email forwarded to their personal email, then that's getting logged as activity in Salesforce. You follow, like you go to the
I
inbox,
do.
the
I
inbox
do.
and sends it to them, and then that email may now be getting logged into Salesforce through that action.
That does make sense. I just would assume that it would somehow say like the message went from like the info @ to the user or vice versa, instead of the info @ directly to a lead. In other words, there's no reference
Yeah.
to the user, but that's a great thing to check out for sure.
There's a trailhead feed about does activity capture work with shared mailboxes, and I haven't, I'll get there, but
I guess I'd be curious to know how shared inbox would make any difference if at its core, it's an email address, but maybe.
Well, thank you. Sorry those were so weird, but I appreciate the feedback. I'll follow up on everything you guys have mentioned.
They aren't that weird if there's content out there talking about it.
Yeah. And I think EAC is one of those ones that not enough people have experience with. So you might be the leading expert when you're all done.
right,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I encourage you to like log a case and then log an idea, talk about it in the community, because the more people find it and see it and talk about it, the more visibility it gets.
The truth is I've actually had very good experience with EAC up to this point. And I've done dozens of users with it and haven't really had issues.
You're still having a good experience with it. You're just trying to understand this one little hiccup. So it's
I think it's the org. I think they've somehow got a corrupted org of some sort. Everything weird happens there.
custom settings, right? Right, Michelle? All right, where are we next? We are at Christy.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, Christy?
Good. So I have a client who has high velocity sales, and I hadn't worked with it much before, so I find it somewhat limiting. You can only branch out from a call result, nothing else. And I didn't know if anybody on this call has done any kind of customization with Flow Builder with regard to high velocity sales that I might be able to enhance it better for them, because I couldn't find anything in the community on it.
They're calling it sales enablement now, right?
For sales engagement,
Engagement.
I don't know. I cannot keep up with Salesforce renaming things.
Sales engagement. There's a whole trail.
And doesn't so I feel like high velocity sales has like a weird add-on. Like what are you trying to enhance specifically, Christy?
Well, specifically, the customer's like, hey, we don't want to just, branch decision off of a call result. We want to do it off of a custom item or something else. And of course, you can't do anything except call result for that. So I'm like, okay, well, we've got to be able to do something in Flow that I could just automate it if they have something. And so, and I'm trying to learn more about it because I am new to that part of it. So.
Sure. And I don't have any experience with it, so I'm going to just randomly throw out a term. Does sales cadence tie into this, or is that what you're trying to bounce off of?
Yes, if this is all about the sales cadence that the customer has set up, but in building it, it's almost, I feel like it's a locked down flow, and I'm like, no, I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Because I would assume, and again, I'm just riffing here, but those cadence records are, they tied activity, but they're not activity records. But you should still be able to react to statuses on the cadence records via Flow. Yeah, does that sound accurate?
I think if they manually exit someone out of a cadence, then there's a disposition field. So we can use the disposition field possibly. I was just curious if there was more out there than I was able to find. And no, I have not yet asked Chat GPT to find me the resources.
And why not?
I should. I just thought about it now. So.
So I'm muted and talking to you, and I found something for adding automation to sales engagement.
Okay.
I put the link in the chat, but it says add screen flows to cadences, run flows after cadence steps, add automation to sales engagement, add prospects to cadence.
That is exactly what I really need right now. Thank you so much. I just need to learn a little bit more about it.
No, you just needed to know like that it's called sales engagement and not sales enablement or high velocity sales. I'm kidding. It's all about the search, right? And so, but add automation to sales engagement. High velocity sales is not mentioned anywhere. So would have been a challenge to find it. So this should give you a starting point. And I have an extremely high confidence level in your flow abilities to do what you need to do.
Thank you. More direction was helpful. That's what I was thinking I'd look for today. So I appreciate it.
I just gave you a different map for the other city. That's all. We're good. I want to know how it goes though, because I didn't get a chance to use sales engagement with one of my previous companies that was using this sort of a tool. They chose like a different tool, but this would be really interesting to see how it kind of.
Well, yeah, I have another client who on January 31st got to upgrade to unlimited, right? Deals at the end of the fiscal year. And now they have it because they have unlimited. But personally, so far that I've seen, I prefer the Salesforce Labs action plans on the App Exchange. So
easier to customize?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see, after Christy, we have Rochelle wants to talk to us real quick, and then after this one, but Allison, what do you have for us?
Thank you. I have the easiest, silliest question.
It's purple. The answer is purple.
I like purple. That's a good answer. Thank you. And that's what my hair is going to be in, a week. But thank you for that, Joy. I needed that. I forgot to put in my happy gift this morning. I'm sorry, Joy. I didn't do my happy gift.
I pulled that one today. Today's a rough day.
Okay.
So what do you have going on, Rochelle? Or no, not Rochelle, Allison.
I have, so I'm using the duplicates tool native to Salesforce in NPSP. And I have my potential duplicate records and it says compare accounts. What I need to find out is where do I find the page layout for the fields that are in the comparing accounts? Did that make any sense?
So I
You
just
wanna-
want to make sure. So the duplicate component brings back a pair or however many duplicates. What's running that display?
Yeah, because I want to like move around the fields.
Yeah. So I believe they're based on the matching sets. Let's see here. I'm going to try to find my copy of it. Anybody jump in here?
Keep going. You're okay, Squire.
Yeah, no,
Or
I'm
you're gonna
looking
start
for it right
coughing.
now. Let's see here. Because in theory, right, like it's actually that component isn't displaying either one of those records. It's displaying the matching set and the records that have been tied to the matching set, which is a completely separate object. And I believe that's where you configure the output. So that's what I'm going to try to find for you right now.
Okay. Yeah, because I am the primary data cleaner upper, and the listing of how the fields are shown drives me crazy. So I need to figure out how to change them because their order does not make any sense. So I'm looking at fields that are not related to each other, that are next to each other, and I need to make it easier to.
So with just to save radio time, I believe what you're looking for is the duplicate record set object has its own layout, but I believe the component displays the related list that's on there. I think that's what you need to configure. I'm
Okay.
a lot of NyQuil today. I apologize.
Okay, so okay.
Because there's a duplicate record set and there's a duplicate record item, and that's what is containing what the dupe rule has found. And actually if you find that you've got to do some cleanup, like you've got years of these things that don't get cleaned up, those are what you're going to delete out as well. I'm 70% certain that it's there. It could be the item itself, but it'll once you get in there and compare it to your layout, you'll know right away what you're looking at.
Okay. That was it. That's all I had. That's all I needed.
Excellent. And then we go, are we back with Rochelle? Did anyone else? We don't have anything else in the chat, I don't think.
I haven't seen anything, no.
All right, Rochelle, talk to us
Hi.
about this. It looks like Katie took a stab at what you were talking about, and I think that the better approach here, and Dale, I know you're going to agree with me. I just know it. I feel it in my bones. Why do they want to capture all the internal emails and stuff? Why? And furthermore, does this person have the ability to make that kind of a sweeping decision across the organization?
Okay.
Why?
That tone, I think, just told us everything.
Well, no. I'm actually I am a solo admin for a very small organization who is terrified of everything from emails to they bought Salesforce 12 years ago. They never really turned it on. So everything with this particular company is a struggle because they're afraid of it. It's all about fear. And instead of using the email, I did deploy Salesforce Activity Capture because I think it's pretty cool. It has a lot of hiccups, but I think it's pretty cool. They're still emailing each other about projects through Outlook. And the thing is, I keep trying to explain to them that if they're emailing, they should really use Chatter, which they're afraid of, or they should email straight out of the object out of Salesforce in order to capture the conversation. This particular gentleman's like, no, it's easier for me to send it through Outlook to, the quality engineer or whatever, and then I could relate it to the item. But in many cases, because we have that hard rule that you can't relate internal conversations you know, he's not able to do this. So he came to me just this morning again. He's like, never ever. He's the only one that keeps asking. I want to be able to relate email conversations that we're having with internal users, and I just think it's a horrible idea.
Well, I guess it begs the question, when you say all internal emails, like
Anybody with the same
Facebook
domain.
altogether, or just things that relate to Salesforce records?
Okay. It would be actually anything that relates to Salesforce record. However, many of the emails that he has showed me that he was able to relate have absolutely nothing on the email that would ever tie to a record. So they'll be talking about a project, but they're not utilizing like the opportunity name. They're not. There's nothing for the activity capture tool, in my opinion, to grab and relate it. And that's, I think, really one of the issues is that unless they use something that the Einstein Activity Capture recognizes it or manually relate it, which they could do, they keep getting the errors saying that it goes against the I guess a setup or whatever. So in turn, I said, you know what? I said I will bring this up to my meeting of experts and advisors, and I trust your opinion. What do you think?
You need to have an enterprise level conversation about what are we doing, why, and how. This is not something that like can be solved with Salesforce boom move on. This needs to be like the highest paid people in the company need to really have an honest conversation about what tools they've invested in Salesforce and what are we trying to get out of them?
Yeah. You know, they seem to be very happy with the 2 years I've been here. I've actually moved them into, as they say, we just want to be moved into the 20th century. Okay. So they're getting there. It's just that Salesforce, like every software, has rules and restrictions. And, you know, and I hate to say this, but every time I bend a rule or I do something, it always bites me in the butt later. It's either I end up having to.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
well, like when you say breaking a rule, a company rule or a Salesforce rule?
A Salesforce rule.
Like a Salesforce best practice rule is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's a Salesforce. And, you know, I was very fortunate because I came from a company of thousands of users, and we were an international company, and they were because our Salesforce developers and architects that was on staff was very, very like, no, you cannot do that. I used to call this one woman the queen of no, because no matter what you asked her, it was always no, we're not doing it. This company doesn't quite understand. They're very small. Like I said, they're terrified of technology, and they keep asking for things. And I'm like, that's not a best practice. I would never do that.
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
Okay, here I go. I'm jumping.
Ow, you jumped on me. No, this easy.
So I run into a lot of this as a solo admin too at my job. You know, a lot of people are like, this is what I need. And what we really need to be doing, instead of them telling us what they need, we need to figure out what their problem is. I know he said that he wants all his emails in there, but what about having all of those emails?
Yes.
Is so important. What does he actually want to capture and why? Maybe you need to build an app to do things, to maybe put in data for the things that he wants to capture, not necessarily the email. So like, I don't know what the answer is, but you know, part of it is kind of like, okay, I hear you. Now let's look at these options, you know, like and guide them a different direction and get to those answers to help you understand what they actually need or want.
My feeling is now that we have deployed Einstein Activity Capture, is that if you're having a conversation about an opportunity or your project or whatever, that just go into it and start your email from Salesforce. You know, again, it's ridiculous to talk to people and fight about a click here and a click there. That's my best practice, is that's a perfect opportunity. Go to the opportunity, check the notes, and then email from there rather than email and then wonder why you can't relate it properly. I just think opening it up to all internal email is you're going to get everybody's happy birthday and what's for lunch emails somehow.
Well, actually, and I'd like to jump in. So I used to work for a company with the color of the rainbow, and they had Einstein.
The color of the rainbow, that's not actually the color of the rainbow, but anyway.
Yeah, okay. But they had Einstein Activity Capture, and at some point I actually saw an email from the vice president of the company regarding an HR issue. And I was like, oh, for the love of God, why do we not have this turned off? So, go, don't have internal emails.
I'm glad to hear that. Can I ask just one really quick question? And I swear I won't, I'll turn off my microphone.
Yeah, well, no, don't be like that.
I'm like,
Rochelle, really quick. I want you to do that. I lied to Allison and I wanted to come back to that. I believe the duplicate list falls to the default layout of the object that's displaying the related list. So for instance, if you're looking at account, the account search layout, default layout is what you're seeing in that pop-up. And that's what you'd have to configure.
Gosh, I hope Allison heard that.
Yeah, and if not, I'll write it up. But it's not the layouts on the page, those pages themselves. It's tied to the object because the component is the same component for every object. So it can't be tied to that child. It has to do with, I believe, the default. I know it's a default layout. I don't know if you can configure it differently, but it's originally tied to the default layout. So
Yeah,
sorry,
it
go
looks
ahead,
like-
Rochelle.
It looks like Allison dropped, so we'll have to make sure we follow back up with her somehow.
Yep, I'll write it up. Thanks. Sorry, go ahead, Rochelle. Thanks for
I have
waiting.
a really quick question. Again, my former company, actually, they were like a huge Salesforce, like, they go to Dreamforce and they are always asked to talk and all that other stuff. So, big deal company. This little itty bitty company, I'm bringing what I found was best practice. One of the things that we used to do when a contact left the company, other than getting the bounce backs, is we used to actually take out their name, and we found that was problematic because then every activity that was tied to that person ended up that their name was gone. So it'd say inactive, needed to place an order and things like that. So that didn't work well. At this company, I mentioned they used to delete the person, just delete them. And I'm like, no, you never want to delete a contact. So I brought it in that they would put the word inactive after the person's last name and they take out the email so we never email them again. Now thinking about how activity capture works, I'm not so certain that's the best practice because if we take out the email, all of the activities that were tied by EAC is gone, correct?
Doesn't have any way to tie it to it. Yeah.
Darn it. Okay.
But one of the lovely things about account contact relationships is that you can say they're not active.
As of a date, it has
Yeah.
effective dating on it.
Yeah.
What I've done is I built a checkbox, and now it's every time you check the box inactive, a big red banner comes. This contact is inactive.
Sure.
No.
Just one of those things that account contact relationships takes a little while to get used to. But once you wrap your head around it, it's pretty awesome, especially when you have contacts that maybe move from customer to customer. So say Joe is working for ABC company and Joe leaves ABC and goes and works for XYZ. And then you can see that Joe is a big fan of your products and the history that Joe had at ABC now that he's working at XYZ, and you can leverage that.
Yeah, at this company, what they would do, because our customers do go, they migrate to different companies, is that they would pick up that person from ABC company and just put him on the other account with the old email address, mind you. So all of the projects and that he came from one company dumped into the other account. I'm like, no, we're not doing that anymore, because that's just so messy. Yep. But the fact, I guess I'm trying to ask Salesforce this, how do you keep the activity history on the contact when they're inactive? If they've been made inactive, and like I said, we do have concerns about privacy and taking their name out and things like that. But how would you honestly, if somebody's inactive or no longer with the company, how do you keep that activity history intact?
Whoa. What did we lose?
Uh-oh, Dale had to drop, so.
Oh yeah, so we lost the screen. That's why I'm like, what just happened? I was very confused. So I think there's a couple different ways to handle that. One is like you've done is you mark that contact inactive, and then you just start up a new contact.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways that companies handle that, but that's a big one. And I think let's post that up in the office hours community. And we'll see what other, I guess, solutions folks have come up with on how they handle that, because I think it's a really great discussion. I haven't been happy with how any of the companies I've worked with have handled that. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying one solution is better than another, but I think that every company has their priorities in a different order, and so what things are most important to them. We'll go from there.
Yeah, I just want to do the things the right way. And like I said, the last company was I worked for was in the UK. So when GDPR came about, they had us wipe that person out of the system, and that was a disaster. It really was.
Great.
Yeah. So okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I was looking so forward to having this meeting. I was I think I emailed Squire because last week when the meeting got canceled, I was almost in tears because yeah, it's been a really rough ride when you're alone.
Yeah.
So
hey, the solo admins, y'all are doing amazing things, and that's why we're here. That's why
thank
we're
you.
here. I think there's a lot of folks that have been in the solo admin space that understand where you're coming from, and this space, this community really helped me when I was like in the throes of being a solo admin also. And so we're here for you, and don't feel like you're alone. You're not. You're just alone in your office. So
well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Take care, guys.
All right, everybody. It is 2:00 at my house. Might be 3:00 at your house, but it's time to go back to work. Happy Friday, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Bye-bye. Good to see everybody. Yay. Bye.